day and welcome back to another episode of the Air Force Podcast. My name is Yaku and today we've got Pamela with us. Thanks a lot for being here, Pamela. Thanks a lot for your time today.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Pamela, you specializes and works with quantum healing as well as how do I pronounce it? Reflexology. Is that correct?
Yeah, reflexology, that's right.
Okay, and then why got you started in this? Why did you start with this kind of alternative way of healing, of helping the body? How did you start with it?
I think I've always been interested in natural healing. As we all know, I'm sure there's been times in your life where pharmaceutical medicine and traditional medicine has sort of reached a limit. If you were, trying to heal from something, it doesn't always work. So I think throughout my life, I've always been interested in this kind of healing. But a few years ago, I lost somebody tragically in a car accident. And what happens is sometimes severe trauma can catapult you onto a spiritual awakening. So that's what happened with me. So this person died. And that's when you usually start asking questions like, what happens after we die? Where do we go? What's the point of being here? Where do we all come from? So questions like that. And that sort of leads you into natural healing modalities because you become aware that the universe has actually provided natural ways for the human body and for the soul to heal without introducing any chemicals to the body or anything unnatural. So that's sort of what got me into this this new world that I'm living in now.
Okay, and then explain to me what exactly is this quantum healing? What exactly is that? What is the process behind that?
Okay, so quantum healing can be quite difficult to explain. When we break down us as human beings, we break us down into the smallest particles. Quantum physics states that we are just actually, made up of atoms, and these atoms are vibrating at certain frequencies. And so the different frequencies are, what makes up different parts of our bodies. And they also make up, the planet and everything that we create in the planet. So the atom is actually, it's the smallest particle that quantum physics studies. In actual fact, atoms can be broken down into an even smaller particle called quarks. But quantum physics doesn't really study quarks because they're so tiny. It's like really difficult to study that. So we sort of just focus on the atomic level, on atoms. And there's different forms of quantum healing. The quantum healing that I do is called quantum healing hypnosis therapy. So what happens is a client will come to me for various reasons. Let's say they have a fear of the water, a fear of swimming. They've never learned to swim. And maybe this is something that they want to get over because, they want to enjoy swimming in the pool or going to the beach. So a client would come to me and discuss, things that are going on in their life. And their fears and phobias. And then I will prepare a hypnosis script. So I work quite closely with my spirit guides, and they will sort of guide me into preparing a script that's, just right for this client. The client will come in to see me, lay down, close their eyes like in a normal, hypnotherapy session. And I will guide them into a deep state of meditation, which is similar to a light state of hypnosis. The thing with hypnosis is that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So the client will only go as deep as their subconscious mind wants them to go. And then we work through trauma. So quantum healing is kind of working with trauma at the atomic level. During a session, we can do age regression, which is when we go back to previous times in the client's current lifetime. So they might have a fear of the water or a fear of swimming. Maybe something happened when they were a kid and they saw somebody drown. So we can regress back to various points in this person's lifetime, and we can help the client to understand why they have this fear. Because you can only really heal from something when you know what it is that you need to heal from. And then we can also explore past lives. We can also explore future lives, because often if we don't deal with trauma in your current life here, when you move on to future lives, you carry over that trauma. So by going back to past lives, we can explore that and address that and bring it to the surface and actually, release it from the person's quantum field. And we can also do things like spiritual healing, visiting healing temples if the client's open to, working with angels and spirit guides and things like that. So it's very, very broad, and it's just important that the client has an open mind. And I believe that quantum healing is the future for humanity in terms of healing. We're obviously going to have all kinds of natural healing becoming more and more prominent in society. But for me, quantum healing is such a deep level of healing, because we're going right down to the atomic level of that soul of that person.
Okay, you've mentioned you work out a script for your patients with your spiritual guide, your spiritual leader. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so I only really discovered all of this in the last few years when I've, started my spiritual journey. I remember going to a family member when I was a kid. I went to their house for lunch, and she was a natural healer. I was very young then. I think I was about 10. So I didn't really understand what natural healing was. And she took me she had like a Wendy house or a shed in her garden. And she did her healing practices there. And she said to me, I have this on my website, this little story. She said to me that she had a red Indian spirit guide that worked with her, and she could see him, and he helped her through, these healing sessions. And I remember thinking, wow, a spirit guide. Wow, she's so lucky. I didn't really know what it was, but it sounded really cool. And now, since starting my spiritual journey, I've learned that every single person here has a team of spirit guides. So those are loved ones from previous lifetimes, or spirits or souls that are more evolved than you are. And they're sort of assigned to you at birth, and they help you and they guide you throughout your life. So when we come into this lifetime, we actually all choose to go through like a form of amnesia where we forget everything. And it's because we wouldn't take the game of life seriously if we knew all the background, where we've come from, and we knew all the answers. You know what I mean? We've come here with certain lessons to learn and things to experience. And the best way to do that is in the physical way here on earth, in a physical body. And so our spirit guides are sort of around us all the time on the sidelines. And they're the ones that sort of try and keep us on our highest path. Sometimes you have synchronicities happen in life, like say someone might say a word you've never heard before, and then you see it on the TV the next day, and then you see it in a magazine the day after, and you stop and you think to yourself, this is really weird, this is a really weird coincidence. Usually when you have that feeling inside of you, that's usually a message from your spirit guides or from your higher self, that there's meaning in there for you to explore. So spirit guides, everyone has a team of spirit guides, and they are just there to guide us, to love us and protect us, and to help us achieve all the things that we wanted to achieve in this lifetime.
Okay, and then what kind of, I would say, effect does different energies have on this quantum healing process with your spirit guides? What does the energy have to do with all of this?
Well, we are just energetic beings. So when you start exploring the universe, exploring where we've come from and where we go to when we die, you begin to understand that everything is just consciousness. And we are a form of higher consciousness that is projected into this physical world, which is a much lower frequency. That's why it feels so physical and tangible. So everything is just energy. And as soon as you can start to, sort of accept that and understand that, it helps you connect with everything in the universe on a much deeper level. So our spirit guides are energetic beings, but inside of you, is your soul and your spiritual self, which is also energy. And so our spirit guides are here to sort of help us with staying aligned with higher energies, positive energy, and kind of helping steer us away from the negative energies. But there's one thing I want to say. A lot of the time, people ask questions like, why do they let bad things happen to us? Why does the creator of the universe, whoever that is you want to call, why do they let bad things happen? Why do they let us make bad choices if they're here to guide us? Well, if they always stepped in before we were going to make a bad decision or make a mistake, there would be no point in us in living this life. So they're just there to sort of, in a very subtle way, guide us along our highest path.
Okay, and then you've now mentioned that you have lessons to learn here. The spiritual guides is here only to guide you, to help you achieve the things that you really want to do. Do I understand that principle correct?
Yes. So we come from spirits. So we are all spiritual beings, but we're here in a physical body to experience life. So we call that we are incarnated at the moment. And when we are not living in a physical body, experiencing life, it's called discarnate. So we're back in the spiritual realms. So the spiritual realms are actually our natural home. It's like our natural state of existence. And before we come into each lifetime, we hustle up with our spirit guides and our soul group, and we decide with ourselves as well, what lessons that we didn't quite get right in the previous lifetime, and the things that will help our soul grow and expand. And so we actually set up, that's why a lot of people describe it like a virtual reality, computer game. That's really what life is like. So we set up these experiences for our lifetime. We say, okay, by the age of 10, I want to have learned this lesson. So I'm going to meet these people along the way. And by the age of 25, I want to have learned these lessons. I want to get my heart broken a few times because I didn't quite experience that in the previous lifetime. And, pain is also good for the soul, good for growth. And so we set up all these lessons and these experiences, and our spirit guides are here to sort of subtly make sure that we experience the things that we wanted to experience. But like I said, they're not gonna control us, because there's no point. We're not actually learning anything on the soul level.
Okay, then how relevant is that mind-body connection with the things you are doing?
So, I do reflexology. So that's what I really started off doing. And then I kind of, started doing Reiki. I do tarot and oracle card readings. I now do mediumship as well. And I've now moved into quantum healing. So reflexology is, it's another form of energy healing. So we have meridians of energy running through our body, like loads of meridians of energy, and they end in our hands and our feet and our face and scalp. And so we call those the reflex points. And so, acupuncture and acupressure is the same form of healing, except they work along the different points of those meridians. Whereas in reflexology, we just work on the end points of the meridians. And by stimulating those reflex points, we actually release congested energy in those meridians. And all those meridians, so this is based on Chinese medicine. The Egyptians were doing reflexology thousands of years ago. There's Egyptian paintings and the tombs and stuff of them doing reflexology on each other. And these meridians of energy are connected to organs and systems in our body. So again, it's based on the principle that we are energetic beings, and everything starts out on the energetic level first. And then if it's not treated or released, it will manifest in a physical way. So by stimulating these meridians and releasing blocked energy or congested energy, we are promoting healing in an energetic way in the body, and then that lets the body heal in a physical way. There's most of the spiritual or natural healing modalities are based on, if you break it down, they're based on energy healing.
Okay, yeah, you've mentioned when a client or a patient comes to you, they go into a state of light hypnosis. What is that hypnosis? Is it only they're only thinking, or are you controlling what they are thinking? What exactly is that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I've been to a hypnotherapist a few times in my life previously, to deal with certain fears and anxieties that I struggled to kind of release myself. But I remember when I was a bit younger, there was a lot of shows with hypnotherapists where they, go on stage and they call people up and they make people like dance around like a chicken or do something really stupid. So I think a lot of people have that stigma in their mind about hypnotherapy. Um, like I said before, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So you could never get someone up onto a stage and hypnotize them into doing something that they wouldn't want to do. So that's not possible because you have a conscious mind, which is the part of your mind that's engaged right now, talking to me, watching the video, checking your phone, that your conscious mind is kind of at the forefront of you during the day when you're awake. And your subconscious mind, which is a deeper part of your mind, is kind of in the back seat of the car. And then when you go to sleep at night, they change positions. So your conscious mind takes the back seat and kind of goes to sleep, and your subconscious mind steps forward. And when you are going through a hypnosis session, all we are doing is talking the conscious mind into a deep state of relaxation. So it takes a back seat, and then the subconscious mind can step forward. And the subconscious mind is really the powerhouse of you as a human being. Your subconscious mind is the part of you that's linked to the whole universe, that's linked to the spiritual realms, your spirit guides, your higher self, the creator of the universe. So connecting with that is really important. So when we do hypnotherapy sessions in quantum healing, the client will only go they will only let their conscious mind relax as far as they want to, and their subconscious mind will only step as forward as it wants to. There's no forcing of the therapist. We can't tell a client to be in a certain state of trance or hypnosis. It's all up to the clients and what they are open and receptive to.
Okay, then how deep can you go? What can you see? What can you get out of the subconscious mind then?
So most clients, which is what I experience when I have hypnotherapy, you'll go through, I kind of call it like a wave where you dip in and out of consciousness. So during a session, you'll hear me talking at some moments and then you'll like drift off to sleep a bit. And then you might come to a few minutes later and hear some of my words and then dip down again. Kind of like sometimes when you're watching TV late at night and you sort of dozing off and you can kind of hear the TV in the background, but you're also sort of going into that sleep state. So you can go as deep as being your conscious mind is completely asleep and your subconscious mind is completely alert, which means that say there's a client with some very deep trauma, like let's say it's something very dark, like abuse, that they don't even know about, that their conscious mind is buried since they were a kid and they are not even consciously aware of. We can take a client so deep that their subconscious mind brings that forward and their conscious mind is not even aware of what they're saying. So when they wake up, they might be completely unaware of what they were talking about. So that's pretty deep. That's almost like the sleep state.
Okay, and in that state, you mentioned they are not aware of what they are saying, what they're actually doing, but they're all still talking about that. And how do you
Yeah.
approach that then with them when they're awake again?
So There has to be a lot of love and compassion when we're doing sessions like this. When we're working with the subconscious mind, it's very open to suggestion. So you have to have a rapport of trust with your therapist. Sometimes it can take 1 or 2 sessions for the client to fully relax if they're quite a person that doesn't tend to trust people easily. And if there is some, dark or deep trauma that's come forward, you have to be really careful as a therapist of how you bring that forward to the clients and explain to them what's happened. Usually, if you do experience a situation like that, which is not very common, it's very rare. There will be parts of the client's conscious mind that will start, being triggered, and it might start making sense to them what you're saying. But yeah, you just have to be very careful and very, come from a place of love and compassion. Um, yeah, and that's why I like working with my spirit guides, and I work with the client's spirit guides because they're really good they can see the whole picture, whereas sometimes we tend to just see, a small part of the picture. And so they can kind of let me know what the client's ready to hear and what they're not at this point in time.
Okay, and in this process, while the person is then, I would say, in the sleeping state, would you confer then in normal conversation? If you talk with them, the answer is that how that's working, or is it only at a spiritual level?
So it's their subconscious mind talking. And you must remember, we're not separating the conscious mind and the subconscious mind from a person. Both parts of their consciousness are always engaged. It's just a level of like which one's sort of in the driving seat and which one's in the back seat. So if the client is fully under in a deep state of trance or hypnosis, it's still them talking. They might just be talking in a slightly slower, more of a sleepy voice because a part of, a lot of their body's completely relaxed. So yeah, it might sound a little bit different in that way, but it is still the person speaking. Because yeah, our conscious mind and our subconscious mind are one really, but we're to try and understand life and things like this, we separate them.
Okay, and then what kind of ethical portion parts are there in this kind of work you are doing?
Well, there's definitely a huge level of confidentiality. So everything that you, as a therapist, learn about a client or everything that they share with you is completely confidential. So that's, not to be shared with anyone, and their records should be stored in a safe way that, no one's going to be able to open their files or open the folders on your computer. And, spiritually speaking, there's a lot of laws of the universe that you start to learn, and that all comes with experience. And there's a big thing about it's called the law of non-interference. It's a universal law. It's a cosmic law, and it's connected with our spirit guides as well, and angels and ascended masters. So the law of non-interference is that people from other realms and the spiritual realms are not meant to come and interfere too much with our lives here, because we're plugged into this, simulation, and we're doing our best to like get through life. Life can be really hard and challenging, and if they just came in and stepped in all the time, it also interferes with everyone else that's connected to that person's experience. So if a spirit guide keeps moving you out of the way of trauma and mistakes, it's going to affect your mother, it's going to affect your partner, your friends, because maybe they were also in agreement of experiencing that trauma, that all those mistakes that you were going to experience. So we have to be very respectful of remembering that we're not meant to interfere too much. And so what you have to remember is that when a client comes to you, everyone's at a different level or a different point in their evolution and their learning journey here in this life. And so sometimes we can know a lot of truths ahead of where that person is, but we should know, as someone who's spiritually advanced, that it's not the right time to share that with them. So there's that comes into play when we are treating clients in this way. Because with quantum healing, when we're working with the subconscious mind, we're very connected to the higher self, which means, there's unlimited wisdom, truth, and knowledge that can come through. So we have to really be respectful of the information that does come through, and keep in mind that the client is at a certain point in their, journey in life.
Okay, and then how would you integrate, I would say, the ancient part, the part of, the ancient part, the history part with the modern technology, the modern things that we have at our fingertips today?
I think that, I know that Earth has gone through many cycles of evolution. It might sound a bit mind blowing, but the Earth has civilizations have restarted many, many times, like over hundreds of thousands of years. The Bible and whatever other records people think that we have is accurate is not, is just a small fraction of the evolution of Earth. So there are civilizations from hundreds of thousands of years ago that we are not even aware of yet. But with channeling spirits and channeling energies from other realms and dimensions, which I also do, and a lot of people are doing more and more now, and with doing work like quantum healing, where we're working with the subconscious mind that is connected to the whole universe, we can start bringing forward these information about these, ancient civilizations and how they approached healing and learning and growing. And humanity in the last 2,000 years, has gone through a cycle. And the last few hundred years, we've been in a very dark place. I'm sure we all can agree with that. There's been a lot of violence and, wars and stuff. And so I think integrating ancient civilizations' ways of learning and evolving and understanding that we're actually all one consciousness can change everything for humanity, and understanding that the universe has given us a physical body and has given us the ability to tap into all these energies. Every single one of us, everyone has the ability to tap into these energies. We've all chosen different abilities to come into this lifetime with. And depending on our soul's evolution, we'll have different natural abilities in these, modalities. But we all have the ability to do it. And so it's like relearning that we can heal ourselves. You have the power to heal yourself. You don't even need a Reiki master or a quantum healer or a doctor or a physiotherapist. You have all the wisdom inside of you to heal yourself. And it's about unlocking that wisdom and that knowledge. And all of us need to start doing that as a collective humanity. And the sooner we can do that, the sooner we're tapping into, our inner God power, I like to call it, our inner God power. And we kind of claiming our power back of, who we are and why we're here. And we're not living in this this illusion of separation that we tend to think we're in.
Okay, then I would like to know about the difference between your intuition and what is evidence based in a client's approach when you're working with them, when you're talking with them, even in the state of hypnosis as well.
So do you mean how I use my intuition when I'm working with a client?
Yes, because sometimes, as you mentioned, all of the details isn't as clear as they should be, or isn't yet as clear as they should be. How do you approach that?
So again, we have to understand that our intuition is connected to our higher self, is connected to the spiritual realms, is connected to our spirit guides and the angels and deities and gods and everything that you believe in. And our higher self, which is the higher part of ourself that is permanently in the spiritual realms, just a fragment of our higher self comes into this body and to experience this life, but we're always connected to that higher self, although we're not always consciously aware of it. And we have to remember that our higher self is always aware of our level of intuition and will feed through what we need to know at that moment in time. So when we're treating a client, And let's say this is a really, really important session for this person, and they have a lot of healing to do. Our higher self might feed through a lot more intuition, a lot more wisdom and knowledge in that particular session. Um, and some people like to say, when does our intuition kick in life, in everyday life? Um, well, really, our intuition is always connected to us and is always telling us things, always trying to give us the answers and try and direct us in life. But it's our ego that shuts it out. So we all have an ego, and our ego is our way of surviving here in this physical world. So it's important. So it's not something we need to completely, abolish, like a lot of people think. But our ego tends to steer us towards fear-based things because it's a form of protection for us. And our intuition is steering us towards love. So when you ever need to make a decision in life, like let's say you want to get a new job, you're afraid of leaving your current job, but you really want this new job, you got to say to yourself, is this decision, getting the new job, is this based on love or fear? And you should always choose the decision that's based on love. So maybe leaving your current job brings you a lot of fear because you're afraid of change, but the prospect of the new job excites you, and it's a great opportunity for you. It's a promotion, but you're scared. You should definitely take the job because that's the decision based on fear. Whereas your ego is trying to protect you and saying, "Don't take the job. It's scary. It's a change. It might not be ready for it." So it kind of tries to pull you the other way. So our intuition is always interacting with us, and our ego is also kind of counteracting it. So that's why meditation is so great, because it's a way of quietening the ego part of ourselves and really connecting with the intuitive part of ourselves.
Okay, and then if people maybe want to do the work you are doing, maybe get into this kind of things that you are doing, what kind of courses should they do? What kind of certificates, all that kind of stuff? What did you do in order to come here where you are now?
So I did a reflexology course in London because I've just moved back to Johannesburg. So I've only been here since January this year. I was born in Joburg and grew up here, but I moved away a long time ago. So I did my reflexology course with the London School of Reflexology, which is one of the best in the UK. I believe that there's not many reflexology schools here in South Africa. You do get online courses for that, but I strongly recommend a in-person course because the technique of reflexology and the pressure and all of that, you just can't really learn that online. You need to learn that, in person. But there's plenty of other online courses for things like Reiki. I've done my online courses with Reiki. I've done online quantum healing courses, past life regression courses. So there's just we're in a wonderful, part of evolution where you can access, any course you want online. And then it also comes into play, where you are on your spiritual journey, on your soul's evolution. So some people might have done this in many lifetimes before, so they might be quite advanced, and they might just need a few refreshers in a way, even though they may not be, consciously aware of that. And then there might be some people that this is quite new for them, so they might need, more intense courses, maybe a few, more than one. But yeah, I really recommend doing online courses. They're great and they're convenient for people that are still working, doing another job, a second job. And they can be a lot cheaper than in-person courses. And, money's tight these days for most people. So
Okay, then how can people reach out to you, contact you? How can people maybe get one of those sessions with you? Please tell me.
yeah, so I have an Instagram page. It's Auralite Healing. I also have another Instagram page where all the messages I channel from spirits and angels. It's called Channeling Spirit of Light, with underscores between the words. You can drop me Instagram message to book a session. I also have a website. It's auralitehealing.com. You can actually book sessions online, so you can click and pay online. And then we can schedule the day and time. And I also have a Facebook page, so you can contact me on most forms of social media. My WhatsApp number's on there, my email address, and yeah, I normally reply quite promptly when I get a contact form from someone.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thanks a lot. Then I'm going to stop the recording just here. Okay. Is it stopped now? Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, I think it stopped. No, it didn't. Just a moment, just a moment. I'm not really sure. Okay, yeah, it just stopped within the next few seconds. Okay, yeah. Thanks a lot for talking to me today. Thanks a lot.